Ruth chapter 1. And the title is Simple Faith. Lord, we thank you for your presence and your anointing. Lord, I beg you to anoint me to preach and teach your word, to anoint each of us, Lord, to receive the fullness of your word and the Holy Spirit. Oh my God. Amen. Simple Faith is the title. It's Ruth chapter 1. We start at, we'll start at verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn or live in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, which means pleasant. And the name of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, which means sick and failing. I don't know why you call your kids sick and failing, but he did. They're Ephrathites, they belong to the tribe of Ephraim, of Bethlehem, Judah, and they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them. No surprise there with names like that. But anyway, they died both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. So she's in a bad place. Her husband died, her 2 sons died. There's a big problem back then. Not just, it was across the whole region, because women didn't have jobs. There was no 9-to-5 jobs like there are today. You had sheep. You didn't have savings. Your savings were your livestock. You kept sheep, you kept goats, you kept cattle. I mean, that was your wealth. Carry around for the most part. Gold and silver, but most people didn't have that. So it was mostly livestock. So you had a farm, you had livestock. Sometimes you grew grain, you traded to do whatever. But women didn't do any of that stuff. They had kids, and they took care of the house. Took care of the man when he came home. Took care of the kids. So once you lose your man, you're losing your livelihood. That's how it was back then. So Naomi's got a problem, and her 2 daughters-in-law also have no way to support themselves. So what do you do? Verse 6. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab. For you had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. So the drought is ended in Israel, so she thinks, well, maybe we should go back there. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. So it's like, okay, they're going back. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each other to your mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as he have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. So clearly each of their husbands had a house. They were married, they had a house. Well, in the most part back then, if you got married, you had to have a place to put your wife. You couldn't live under the trees. So they each at least had a house, even if they didn't have a livelihood. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. Okay, we'll go with you. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they should be your husbands? Because remember, it's like if your son married a wife who didn't have any kids, then the next son had an obligation to marry that woman. So are there yet any more children in my womb? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. So she said, I don't have any more kids. I'm too old to have a husband. Not too old to have children, but too old to have a husband, she says. If I should say I have hope, and I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them? Would you wait for them till they were grown, so you could marry them? Would you stay for them from having a husband? Nay, my daughters, for it grieves me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. And I want to stop there, because this is really important. It's easy to keep cruising, but we have to look at the situation. Let's look at it from Orpah or from Ruth's situation. They married a foreigner, they set up a house, and the husband gets sick. Well, you're concerned. You're doing what you can for him, and then he dies. The thing you expect, the last thing that you want, the thing that scares the daylights out of you is the thing that happens. Yeah. Your husband actually dies. Well, yeah, but you know, your sister-in-law still has a husband, and he's kind of obligated to take care of the family. He dies. The father-in-law dies first, so it's like he can't take care of anybody. So it's like the worst of all situations just happened. What do? Most people that I know of, at least if you live long enough, I've been in at least two situations like where it's like the absolute worst thing that you can expect happens. This happens in life, and if you live long enough, it's going to happen at least once. Like I said, it's happened to me at least twice, and you never know when it's going to happen. It's not like I can say I've had my quota, I don't have to worry about it. It can always happen. The question is, what do you do about it? Now, verse 14, we're getting to the focus. Like when the worst thing happens, what do you do? Verse 14, they lifted up their voice and they wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law. In other words, to leave, go back. And Ruth clave to her. Now, from Orpah's perspective, okay, I can go back with my mother-in-law, but she doesn't expect to get married. She doesn't have any more sons. Doesn't expect to. I don't know what she's got back there. Maybe she's not talking about what she's got back in Israel. But I know here, these are my people. I got family here, I got friends here, I got a house here. Well, it seems the smart thing to do is I should just stay here. At least I have a house so that if some guy marries me, at least I have something to bring to the equation from Orpah's perspective. But Ruth's got a different perspective. But Ruth clave unto her. Now you got to ask yourself, why would Ruth do that? She's going to a foreign culture. She's going to a foreign language. She's going to people where she doesn't know them. She doesn't know how they're going to receive her because she's a foreigner. She doesn't know what the mother has, but it doesn't sound like mom's got much. And the mother, quite honestly, is a pain in the neck. Why? Because it's all about mama. When you read further, it's like, yeah, she's got a house, which is good news, but she just stays in the house. She sends her daughter-in-law out to go glean in the fields while she sits at home and complains. Like, so, I'm sure this wasn't new to her because, she'd known her for at least 10 years. The truth always comes out. So why would you choose to go that route instead of the other? But we have the answer here. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, nor return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, most important, and thy God, my God. Where thou diest, I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, she left speaking unto her. Well, I guess I got to take her now. Now, you look at the situation, it's like, she wasn't much of a witness. She said, I go back to your people. Forget about my God. Just go back to your people. Go back to your gods. Not much of a witness. Orpah didn't get much from her husband either because she just turned around and went back to her people. But Ruth, something lodged with Ruth, whether that came from her father-in-law, from her mother-in-law, from her husband, but she got something about God. And she knew this was the way to go. And what was impelling her was faith. Simple faith. Because on the mother-in-law side, she saw no upside in the natural. Now, in the natural, she thought, well, she had something if she stayed in Moab. She had nothing if she went with her mother-in-law. And yet she said, I'm sticking with this God. I'm going to go with her because there's something about this God. I can trust this God. I know this God is real. Well, how did it turn out? Well, first of all, she found out her mother-in-law still had a house. So that was good. Then she went out into the field, and it just so happened that she started gleaning in the field. Gleaning meant when they harvested a field, there was always some grain left. They allowed people that had no means to actually come and pick that up. And this happened to be a rich man by the name of Boaz. He happened to be a relative. And he happened to like Ruth, and he happened to end up marrying Ruth. Now, that sounds like a whole lot of upside. She couldn't see that. She didn't need to see it, because that's what faith is all about. If you can see faith, it's not faith. You just got to know in your spirit this is the way to go. You have to know that you can't second guess the Holy Spirit and say, well, it could be, but I don't know. Maybe, James said in chapter 1, he says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You can't get anything if you're back and forth, back and forth. She said, no, I'm going this route, and I'm sticking with it. I said, how could that happen like that? She just happened to end up in the right field. It says in Psalm 37, the steps of the righteous are ordered of the Lord. She didn't even know it, but God was guiding her right to the place that she was supposed to be. Why is that important? If you trust God, He's going to do the same thing with you. It didn't just work for Ruth. It works for every one of us. So God brought her to the place where the worst possible thing in the worth in her life happened. She lost her husband. She lost her brother-in-law. She lost her father-in-law. The worst thing that she could imagine. And yet, because she trusted God. That's all she did. She just trusted God. But that was everything she needed to do. He took care of her. He fed her. And he got her married. And not only that, the son that she had fall into the line that came right through King David, right through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That was something she didn't know in her lifetime. Never knew. You'd call him a nobody today. There's nothing about this woman that stands out, except for the fact that she said, she was a foreigner, and she said, well, I trust Jesus. I trust this God. I don't know, I might not know this God so much, but I know I can trust this God, and I'm going to bet everything on Him. I'm going to back that 100%. I'm not going to try to waffle. I'm not going to try to spread my risk or see if I can handle it one way or another. I'm trusting Him fully. I'm not going to try to hedge my bets. I'm putting it all on Him. And when you put everything on God, you never lose.
No.
You never lose. Why? Because He's always going to take care of you. Why? Because He honors your faith.
Amen.
When you trust Him, He will never let you down. You may get results that you don't expect. But He will always take care of you. He will always take care of your needs. He'll take care of every one of your problems. Just give Him the time. He's going to work it out. We can't unscramble eggs, and God does it every day. The bigger the problem, the longer it takes. But He works it out. Why? Because that's the kind of God He is. He loves us. He wants us to trust Him because He will prove Himself every time. When God took Israel out of Egypt, 2 years they traveled through the wilderness. Why did it take 2 years? It was literally 2 weeks to go up into the promised land. Because He wanted them to trust Him through the miracles. Creating water where there's no water, taking bad water, making it new water, giving them the manna, fresh bread every day. Why? Because He knew to go up and get the promise, they had to trust Him. And it's no different today. Have you got a vision? Do you trust God for something really big? You better be able to trust Him. You better be able to believe Him. Ruth believed. But Ruth was in a position that was like, she had nothing to lose. And she had already lost everything. Am I going to trust this God? Why don't we trust God? We haven't lost enough. We want to try to hang on to what we got when it's nothing. The enemy makes you think you got a big deal. You got nothing. It's nothing compared to what God has. A little bit you have, you might think it's a big deal. It's nothing. God's got everything. Never make the mistake of not trusting Him. He's never done anything in your life or the life of anyone on the face of the earth that you could say, you can't trust Him. And you know how you know you can trust Him? Because in here, in your heart, when he speaks to you, you know it's real. You know he loves you. He died on the cross for you. Do you need any more proof than that? The answer is no. And that's my message today.
Amen.